Welcome to the Senior Rehab Podcast,
the podcast for rehab clinicians that want to better serve older adults.
And now, your host, Dustin Jones.
Hello, friends. This week's article is from yours truly, titled, "So, you're thinking home health?" I've received several questions from PTs or PTAs that are flirting with the idea of transitioning into home health. If you're considering a change too, don't worry, you're not alone. Home health is an exciting setting due to the many perks that come with the territory. However, a transition into home health can be scary as there's not much out there in terms of info on what it's like to be a home health PT or PTA. I know, I've been there and took the leap into the unknown. When I started home health, I thought it was the end of my career. There goes all of my clinical skills and knowledge. That's not necessarily the case. Here are my thoughts on transitioning into home health, and I hope this is helpful for you that are considering a change as well. The good. Flexibility. In home health, you typically work with homebound adults. Many of these people have a flexible schedule, thus your schedule is flexible. In my job, I have to hit a certain number of visits per week to be considered full-time. As long as I meet that quota, I'm good to go. The result is a very flexible schedule. I basically get to work when I want to work. Pay. Compared to my previous settings of outpatient ortho and skilled nursing facilities, I get paid more and work less. Home health PTs typically earn more than in any other setting. The big plus for me, though, is that I get paid for the work I do. I am compensated for each visit I perform. However, this can be a negative if the census is low. Patient relationships. As a home health PT or PTA, you get to spend 2 to 3 hours per week in someone's home. You're on the patient's turf instead of your own. This creates unique challenges, but I've come to value the benefits far more. I've never been able to better connect with the people I serve like in home health. With many patients, you basically become a part of the family. For me, this has resulted in improved compliance, potentially better outcomes, and several nights of sharing meals or drinks with my wife and some of my former patients. Clinically challenging. One of the biggest misconceptions with home health is the lack of clinical skills or knowledge required. This couldn't be further from the truth. Granted, I no longer perform detailed orthopedic assessments like I did in an outpatient ortho setting. However, my assessments are detailed in other ways. I have to take a step back and have a bigger perspective on the patient's medical issues, functional deficits, and social or environmental factors. This involves the patient's physical deficits, but also includes many social and environmental factors that have huge implications in the success of our patients. My treatment sessions are also very challenging as I have to make do with the situation at hand. This has resulted in some very creative treatment sessions that utilize what we have to work with in the patient's home. Automobile University. Home health does involve driving, which is heavily influenced by where you live. Rural settings typically equate to more driving compared to a more urban context. Regardless, my driving has been redeemed by the wonderful technology of audiobooks and podcasts. I've learned more in the past few years than I could have ever dreamed of before switching to home health. Whatever the topic, there's an easy-to-consume audio resource out there for you. Here's some inspiration if you want to grow in your rehab skills or knowledge. And there's a link to that in the blog post. Abundant novelty. I've done the 9 to 5 in PT and can truly say that it became life-sucking after a period of time, going into the same building at the same time over and over and over. I didn't handle it well. In home health, every day is different. I see all kinds of different homes, different neighborhoods, different people. This has helped my job stay more fresh and exciting compared to previous positions I've had. Now, I don't want you to think the grass is always greener on the other side. Here's the bad of home health rehab. The bad. Clinical staleness. This can and does happen to many home health PTs or PTAs. If you don't use it, you lose it. This is very true in home health. When you're the only rehab professional in someone's home, it's easy to get lazy with your assessments and interventions with patients. The result can be the dinosaur clinician, someone that hasn't stayed current with their skills and clinical knowledge. However, I do believe this is a choice. If you're driven to stay sharp and well-rounded as a clinician, you can stay current in home health, but you have to work for it. It's not going to happen naturally. It's so easy to get lazy and be complacent with mediocre assessments and treatment interventions. However, don't think this is due to the setting. It's typically a result of the clinician. There are many clinicians and companies that continue to grow sharper in their knowledge and skill set. Take Fox Rehabilitation, for example. Driving. You may end up driving a lot as a home health PT or PTA. This varies tremendously, so don't think it's a given. I have one coworker that does 30 visits a week in one assisted living facility. That is 10 minutes from her house. Not a bad gig. Difficult patient situations. Unfortunately, we have a lot of brokenness in this world. As a home health PT or PTA, you're confronted with this almost daily. Every house you go into will not be clean, stable, and welcoming. Know this and expect it if you transition into home health. For me, this has actually been humbling and eye-opening. I really don't mind the difficult patient situations. These situations have helped me be more grateful for what I do have rather than what I don't have. I've also been able to connect with people that are very different from me, which I think is a healthy thing to have in your life. This would have been very difficult otherwise. Scheduling and navigating. Scheduling your patients in home health can be difficult for some. The goal is to minimize your driving time and distance. Dealing with doctor's visits, patients' time preferences, traffic patterns, etc., can really put a damper on your days. Your schedule will always be in flux and will change. Things almost always pop up. Embrace it and accept the challenge. I honestly view my schedule as a game. How can I see as many patients as possible and drive as little as possible? I enjoy it, but it can be frustrating sometimes. Is home health for you? I feel many people say no before they ever fully consider this question, but you're going to have to answer this question for yourself. Home health is kind of this Wild West frontier that few get exposed to in school and throughout our careers. Yet, as I've made this leap into this unique setting, I've found great joy in my work as a home health PT and am excited for the years to come. If you have any specific questions in regards to home health and a possible transition, feel free to contact me. Go through seniorrehabproject.com and click the Contact tab, and I'd love to help however I can. Thanks. Hit me. Thank you for listening to the Senior Rehab Podcast. The show notes for this episode and much, much more can be found at seniorrehabproject.com. If you found value in this conversation, please share this with one other person that could benefit. And until next time, do not forget to stay funky.